Sheila here with Sirius Dallas Moon, Mars Day, Mars Hour. Mars is 2020 in Pisces. And the ascendant is with Chiron and Aries. Venus ingress to Taurus. Moon, 17 degrees Virgo. I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming full moon in Libra. Because, first of all, biggest advice to people that we're not up to speed with sovereignty. If somebody is filmed if somebody is filmed and they don't even know that they're filmed, and even if in their own apartment, with any connotations to sexuality, this is rape. It's crime against humanity. It is trafficking. It's eligible to be punished by death. Because I see people worrying about prison. It's not about prison. Crimes against humanity. Crimes against humanity are used, these type of things are used to launder money in order to commit terroristic activities around the world. So these are crimes against humanity, and trafficking is basically terror, and this is punishable by death. So what people should be worried about is not prison, but death. And if they don't want to die, they must abolish all type of such activities, all types of profiting of such activities, and prevent any ability to repeat such activities and such atrocities against anyone in the world. If a person was put in torture, raped, without ability to die and without ability to get out, they can litigate the people that caused this situation on them. Okay, namely, if somebody is a Ghislaine Maxwell, or somebody is a Detru, somebody is an Epstein, they can fully litigate those who tortured them and direct all of their, if they are forced to direct the violence, direct all of their violence at those who put them in those situations, not innocent people. Now, of course, this is a time where people's crimes become visible. The full moon in Libra is going to activate the point that we had since the eclipses. What is this? We had, this is, March is what was. Now we are towards April. Full moon in Libra is in the decan of Libra, where the odd scale evens. Now, the biggest advice to get out of the teeter tatter is zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning. Anybody that has already faltered on those, now is the time to go short on it, because it's going to get even more visible. Full moon is full exposure. All the gaslighting doesn't work. Nobody can consent to being raped, which means there is no such thing as sex work. And whenever we look into for these cases, we see somebody was filmed without their consent. Somebody was trying to recover from rape and say, well, they need a place where they can scream and shout. Or if once in a millennia they actually have an orgasm after recovery from horrible atrocities, they need to be able to, for that to not be, let's say, a nuisance to the neighbors. And then they are trafficked in that place. Or if somebody was tortured, whether it was tortured to write something or tortured to, I don't know, post something. Yeah, those things are becoming visible. First of all, it happens to Googleplex people around the world of all origins, religions, genders, cultures, whatnot. Now, this causes a situation, everybody know what this is. Everybody knows it is trafficking. Everybody knows it is energy siphoning. Everybody knows its use of dark occult to traffic people, the use of interface of technology and dark occult to traffic people. And everybody knows this is crime against humanity, punishable by death. The point is not just to traffic people, to siphon the energy, but to commit terror and to loot the earth from opportunities, human rights, and so on and so forth. So the people that are afraid of going to prison, what should concern them is being executed, and rightfully so, not as a ritual murder, but as an effective execution, punish for basically making life itself inaccessible. People have applied to suicide, to assisted suicide following such acts. Notwithstanding applications to Dignitas, and then people discovered that that very applying to assisted suicide was programming of ritual abuse, that when a person begins to negate the torture towards them, that they would commit suicide. And this is programming. It means it's murder, which means it's crime against humanity, punishable by death. Now, as the moon progresses through Al-Qaeda, Mars is going to be 23 degrees to 24 degrees of Pisces. This decan of Libra is where the odd scale evens. People that have blamed tenets that escaped astral rape, trafficking, MK often, terror against civilians to launder for committing terror to loot and commit crimes against humanity, genocides, democides, terror, which are punishable by death. And they accused the people that escaped in trespassing because they could not take their things from the place they escaped and left the family pictures because they had to flee from a place because they were being raped. Now these people might find themselves basically having to take accountability for their authentic and genuine trespassing towards those tenants, people, employees, civilians. Now, with Libra, how do we avoid the teeter-tatter? Avoiding the teeter-tatter is very simply put, zero rape, zero ritual abuse, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning. And to correct all the wrongs that were done by past actions of doing these things, as the only way out is individual sovereignty. There's no such thing like these people are sheeple, these people are this. That puts people in the teeter-tatter. They want to stay in the teeter-tatter, they're going to be in a teeter-tatter. Rape is not work. Rape is not residence. Rape is not vocation. Rape is not medicine. Everything that was founded upon these practices that are rapey, that are enslaving, that are energy siphoning, are ritually abusing, is all collapsing. And rightfully so. Blame shifting, gaslighting won't do. All of these things won't do. And certain people got smug, attempted to recreate something that to begin with was collapsing. because it will build on violation of sovereignty. Now they're worried about prison. Don't worry about prison, worry about death. You assassinated the wish to live inside the person. Don't worry about prison, worry about death. Or don't rape, I don't know. I mean, rationality is always there for the people. I think we are Epstein list after the discovery that even the lawyers that litigated with the Epstein case are not transparent about how they got a certification without raping children. People had, at least since the Me Too, to reason up, to sovereign up and honor sovereignty, to correct their wrongs, not to try to get even more smug, even more this, even more that. Then it collapses. Then something that could be a one story that one needs to rebuild because they built it on foundation of rape and slavery, and now it's a 9/11 because they built a megalithic tower that's all built on raping, enslaving, energy siphoning. They had since the Me Too. Since the Me Too, they said they built the first story to say, okay, rape is not work, rape is not residence, rape is not medicine, rape is not governance. There's no exclusions for that. Fantastic. Destroy that one story building that you build upon the wrong foundations and build something that actually sustains. Solutions are paramount. The world is fighting over Hormuz. Why? Nobody actually needs oil to power anything. Definitely not. If they're missing oil, they can take it from the petroleum out of the medicines. It's a neurotoxin. Transportation and shipment can be done by air. By ecosystemic, zero emission, fully solar powered airplanes. Why are we fighting over Hormuz? I don't know. But definitely with the raise of the oil prices, everybody would understand it is better to go electric. Because the people are going to be invested in a bubble. Nobody's going to buy oil. We're like, oh, the price is rising, the price is rising. Yeah, the stock price is rising, but nobody buys oil. The bubble pops, and then what? I really hope people are not trying to cash in on the profits from the oil prices rising. Particularly not when they trafficked and money laundered and raped in order to invest in oil. Shout out to Milagro in Tucson. No oil barrels, fully solar powered, collecting water from the roof. Now you ask, did they have to rape children to have the certificates to build the residence there? I don't know, Falcon. If it's something like that, let's expose it. They built a lovely thing there. Their poop makes the natural crops grow. They both preserve the desert and the crops in it, so nobody's dying because there's native jojoba growing. Full moon in Libras are worrisome to people. It's from Hasta Nakshatra. And Hasta Nakshatra, I think about the Dirac Fermi equations. Okay, on all, whether it's mathematical level, whether it's aesthetic level, whether it's a jurisdiction level, everything aligns. Now, those esoterics that rely on symmetry alone without value are being exposed. And again, I'm not saying, I'm not an expert what to say good or bad, but if they included rape into their esoterics of symmetry, then they put themselves in a teeter-tatter. The odd scale events is showing us the veil of ignorance. If we think, oh, for example, the dark aspect of the odd scale events is the mantras of black X white. I think that anybody that succumbs to the black X white is perpetuating the teeter tatter where eventually white will X black. Which is why I say people that became an Epstein or a death row or I don't know what, because they were jailed, tortured, without ability to die, without ability to get out, they can litigate the people that put them there. Because these people prevented them from either dying or becoming a person who is not a perpetrator. Okay, this is also a component of the teeter-tatter. We don't want to forget what the core issue is, and then the way out of the teeter-tatter is basically to dissolve that from the core issue. Okay, this is the deacon before speaker. And speaker can be an extreme action. Because speaker is fairness in trade. But you know how to say 9/11 in simple English? Fair trade. Why? It was a trade center. What were they trading? Slaughtered infants, dissected organs of people, ritually abused infants, people, and children that were born unregistered, laundered by surveillance technology, occult technology interface that targets people and does dark occult to deprive people of their even will to live in order to traffic them and or make them a part of criminals. Were the people that were working at the trade center participating in ritual sacrifice of people? You're saying, oh, it was a false flag? Yeah. And that is the part that cannot be blamed on Afghanistan. That now Afghanistan is still eligible to be completely assassinated by the women and the children. Okay, why they commit crimes against humanity, and they basically money launder that in terror that can create another equivalent to the 9/11. That's the teeter-tatter. If you want to understand what is the teeter-tatter, that's the teeter-tatter. It is abolished at the level of interference of abolishing child ritual abuse and ritual abuse, trafficking, rape, energy siphoning. And the symmetry magic of the middle decan of Libra, my best advice is to see if that symmetry magic does not create a teeter-tatter or perpetuate a teeter-tatter. It can be countered by abolishing rape, slavery, and energy siphoning. Again, for cultures, the Jews are going to have a lot of problems because the Jews have not denounced slavery. They cannot claim anti-Semitism where people go against the slavery component in the culture or religion, just like Indians cannot claim colonialism when they abolish the practice of burning the living widow with the dead husband. On the other hand, people who try to, let's say, I don't know, Adolf Hitler tried to destroy the Jews. I don't know if he wasn't Jewish, but okay. What did he do? He did basically, we think the concentration camps were the camps with the Jews, the disabled died, and so on. And this is true. But there were another type of death and concentration camps, and that is what he called work. Where he put the women in the kitchen so that they will not be able to have financial independence, so that they will not be able to escape rape, and basically put the men in work. Now, what is work without women to reality check? Okay, when everybody knows when there's a woman in the office, she's going to reality check everyone. No, this is too much. No, the person. Now, if the woman is like a Ghislaine Maxwell, then it's a problem. And by the way, probably it is women that were enslaving that got the entire women's sector to not be working to begin with. Okay, we have to also be, fully logically thinking around that as well. And then he basically created slavery while trying to kill the Jews that were because of usury and slavery. And this is how he got into the teeter-tatter, enslaved his own people, and lost the war. He conquered nearly the entire world. Why could he conquer the entire world? Because the entire world was still in slavery and rape positions. And then they had just a bigger devil. Why did he not manage to sustain an empire unified with totally expansion and so on, whatever it was that he wanted? Because rape and slavery are a bubble pop. He created a bubble, and then the bubble took on the length of its expansion, and then poof. Now let's try to see Taiwan natal chart. This is from July 1st, 1967, which already tells me that there's going to be a Saturn here prominent. Saturn with the ascendant Saturn, 11 degrees, Aries Saturn in Mars sign, night chart. Saturn ruled by Mars sign is good, next to the ascendant not so good. Moon in Revati Nakshatra in Aries, Rahu in Taurus, Lilith in Aries, Mars in Libra. Pluto 18 degrees Virgo. I don't like this degree of Pluto for Taiwan. This degree of going through and putting others through evil. It can be poisoning, toxicity. Uranus 20 degrees. If Taiwan wants independence from China, I think it should declare independence with a new chart. Not to have all these toxic degrees. The moon is excellent, but Saturn next to the ascendant, midheaven ruled by Saturn, it's a night chart, I don't know. Jupiter Leo, okay, understandable. Venus in Leo, strong Jupiter, strong Venus. Sol in Cancer, Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Fourth house, Cancer, ruled by the moon, moon in the first house. Okay, so far so good. Neptune in the 8th house tells me there's some mysterious, malefic, maybe nefarious activity what to do with psychology and but Mars in Libra, Venus in Leo. I don't know. But of course, these regions, they have their own astrology, so they may have considerations that I don't know, working with Western tools, that could supersede this reading. From a Western astrology perspective, I don't like this Pluto degree. I don't understand what is Neptune doing in the 8th house in Scorpio. But Mars in Libra, this can corrupt justice systems for them. Midheaven, Saturn 11 degree. How have they sustained being the only region that continuously challenges China? One can be Saturn ascendant. It's a suicide mission for them to exist. But why? Why is it so important for them to exist separately from China? And their chart is so fucking toxic. And Ketu in the 8th house, Rahu in the 2nd house. Venus, Jupiter in the 5th, Sol in the 6th in Cancer. Sun ruled by the moon. Okay, what I like here, Sun in the 4th house, ruled by the moon. Moon in Aries. Self-sustaining people. The leaders have to be from the people. Midheaven, leaders, night chart. Leaders can be traditional, suicidal, but also independent. And this is where it can even come from both the people and the leaders to be independent. And that can explain, with this Mars, fair to say they might aspire to some sort of fair trade, but I'm worried about this Neptune and Scorpio 8th house. Pluto, Uranus in the 6th. They really have powerful enemies, maybe even evil enemies. And by that, I don't just mean China. Ruler of the 12th in the 5th. These people should be cautious about what they do for fun, because they could be invaded because of it. But Lilith Moon, there's something very questionable here. They definitely want to be independent, but they must maintain that sovereignty is individual, regardless of sex, gender, even when it comes to ageism. They can be with the Saturn. Venus is strong, Jupiter is strong. A lot of people involvement in leadership, which is good. Well, interesting. Definitely interesting. Um, I would be expecting to see Saturn in the 12th house, but is not. Will China invade Taiwan? Neptune in Aries can mean having to surrender sovereignty or miraculously curating sovereignty. And the question is, as usual, if they really appease the conditions for sovereignty, meaning zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning, then they might miraculously curate their sovereignty issues even in the face of China. If not, they might have to surrender their sovereignty to China or be invaded by China, whether temporarily or not. Pluto going through their 11th house, Taiwan becomes known worldwide, powerful worldwide. Uranus at the end of their second house going into their third. Infrastructure is going to be important. Renovating the infrastructure. Miners' revolution may be in their favor. If China's miners will revolt, then it can play to their benefit, but then they have to be zero rape, zero slavery themselves. And to be honest, this chart doesn't show that. I could be wrong, yes, but yeah. Uranus at the end of Taurus, for them is the second house, activating this Venus. They could have mastered the skill of the people, but here it seems that the skill has to do with entertainment, which again tells me that there's something very wrong with this country. Now, this is true to all countries. But when it comes to sovereignty, Rahu in Taurus and reliance on this Venus in Leo, let's just say the Me Too can absolutely kill them. Unless, if I am wrong here, they can be sovereign in the face of China. But if I'm not wrong here, they should not expect to be sovereign in the face of China without curating those issues.